said that's so not ethical.
With that being said, if you want to.
It's so not ethical. I told him that, it's so not, it's,
Hey, Mark, all right, so, it's just us in the room, but we're gonna get started, okay? All right, so we're gonna go ahead and call, the meeting to order at, what time is it? It's 6 o'clock on the dot, okay? We're gonna call roll. We have Nivea, Nick, Ann, and Mark on the phone, which qualify as quorum of the board, 4 out of 7. The purpose of this meeting, weird, I've never seen a single person here before. The purpose of this meeting is to approve the telecommunication company that we're gonna use moving forward, and we have all agreed after many meetings and everything else, with Optical that we are gonna move forward with Optical. For the people that weren't here on the meeting that we had last week, just so you guys are aware, we were informed that Optical actually partnered up with like a very big, company that is involved in the optic, what is that called? The fiber optic industry, and they have like a lot of money. And the way that helps us is they're able to develop faster and kind of invest money on the development of their technology. So it is good. When I spoke to the lady that has been giving us advice, she said, before, the only reason why I agree with you was because Optical was already in your building and you guys had a relationship. But now I am actually telling all my other buildings that Optical is probably one of the best options in Florida. So just so you guys know, like now we're a lot better. It's a lot better option than it was when we originally decided. All right, so motion to approve Optical as our new telecommunicator. And second, yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, well, I was gonna give a kind of like an update of what's been going on, but everybody here is pretty much aware of what's been going on in the building and everything.
That's
that we-
everybody here,
Put money.
how many people are online?
Can we tell us?
You know what?
I
I cannot tell because,
Mark, do you know how to tell me to tell?
but I can just go over it.
I think we should.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's okay. Well, let's do it anyways. Let's do it anyways because you can always go back and watch this on a different day.
Yes.
Correct.
So, the major, obviously, things that we have going on are the elevators and the ELSS. The elevators right now, elevator number 1 has been running properly for the most part, like 85–90% great. Hello, Maria, how you doing? Welcome. Please sign in. I'm going over, we just approved the telecommunication to go with Optical. Now I'm going over what we did this year with, all the improvements in the building. So
Okay.
you got here just for that. So elevator number 1 has been working fairly well. Elevator number 2 still has some kinks that we're working out. They've actually been here a lot, but they were here today. The senior tech was here today. They went through every single floor and every single fault in elevator number 2. He claims that we should be good, but we will know in the next couple of weeks. We gotta let that run for a little bit. Once we feel comfortable with elevator number 2, the game plan is to then move on to the service elevator to knock out to install the panel and the buttons and the hallway stations. And once that is all done, then we can begin talking about remodeling the inside of the elevators, because obviously every single time we move, it requires a shutdown from the elevator that we're working on. So that's where we are with elevators. The elevators did require additional expenses that we were not expecting. One being, we needed to add new phone lines for the emergency phone inside the elevator. That requires more stations. We had to put one up in the elevator room and one in the front desk, which the previous code didn't require. Another one, which was an expensive, was the transfer switch. The transfer switch that we had was not compatible to the new elevator, so that was for the generator. The transfer switch is when the electricity goes on, it automatically switches to the generator. The new system couldn't connect to the transfer switch that we had, so we had to get a new one that was compatible. So that one was a $28,000 expense. That was completely unexpected. It's been ordered. We're just waiting on an update on where it is and when we're going to get it and when it's going to be installed, because it will require we will need a temporary generator, so everything will be hooked onto that. We will not have electricity in certain areas during the day It will be a little uncomfortable. I will give everybody an email explaining exactly how that's gonna work, but once we get closer to that, I'm still waiting on some updates. The second major project that we had, probably the most expensive, it was $1 million out of the last special assessment, was the ELSS. We have been moving forward pretty well with that. All the sprinklers have been installed and tested and inspected and passed. Thus, in all the hallways, inside every unit, and in the downstairs area, and in every common area. That's been done. The soffit area, well, in regards to sprinklers, the only thing we're waiting on is for the fire pump, which was mailed, it was shipped on the 5th, so we're expecting it to get here by the end of the week. And then they will schedule an appointment to install the new fire pump, which our fire pump is very old, so the new one is it was needed. Soffit, they are working pretty well. This week they installed the electrical. We got delayed a week on that because we decided to add more lights. We were unable to find the same light fixtures that we have on the walls. And in order to move them to the right place, it was gonna cost a lot of money to move each and every one of them. Besides that, we just couldn't find them anywhere. So no matter what, every time one broke, we couldn't find replacement for them. So what we decided to do was we were gonna put, what was the number?
And 7 additional per floor.
Yeah, I think we had originally 13 lights. We decided to add 6 to 7, depending on the floor. So now we're gonna have 19 ceiling lights, and we're gonna be able to remove the hallway fixtures. We're gonna remove them, cover them up, block them out, and we're gonna have enough lighting in the ceiling
So it will look like a cave.
to eliminate the hallways nicely. So that delayed it a little bit because they had to do another week kind of rewiring the electrical. They did that last week. This week they're gonna start installing the actual fixtures, and then the smoke detectors will get installed, and then they can start closing the ceiling. So that we'll have
You
actual.
also closed it, so
Right.
the lights will, and they also closed all the sprinkler entries into each unit from the hall.
They did that
All
last
the fire,
week.
yeah, all the firewall, all that fire stuff.
Oh, okay. Because there was a hole.
Yeah, there was like a hole into every, there was an issue for bugs or whatever.
Yeah.
AC, blah, 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 so those are all closed.
Okay, and I think, now they just have to get it inspected, that's what the inspector was needing, that's right. So that's where we are with that. That requires some additional expenses also. It was basically more the smoke detectors, and well, the additional of these lights, added a little bit of the expense, but the smoke detectors had to all be removed. And then we didn't account for that, and then we didn't account the fact that we were gonna have to do elevator inspections. And the inspector needed to see that there was a smoke detector in front of every elevator, so that they had to come back, reinstall them, and then remove them again. So that was kind of a little bit annoying, we would account for that. But those were additional expenses to the ELSS portion. Am I missing anything? I think that's pretty much it. And then outside from that, all the improvement we've done this year include, we have a new fire panel, which was installed earlier. I think we talked about that last year. We installed a new AC unit in the gym. We installed, based on the requirements from the insurance, 4 new electrical panels, and we purchased a backup electrical breaker. That is an enormous breaker that basically, if that breaker goes bad and we don't have a backup, there's no electricity inside any unit until we get it. So we went through that a few years back, and we didn't have electricity for like 2 days inside the units. So that was very important. So the board decided that we should get a backup. So we purchased one, we have it. Our electrician is ready. If that happens on a Sunday in the middle of the night, he will come out and install it. So that will prevent us from not having electricity for a day or two. We thought that was important, so we did buy that one. We added a defibrillator in the lobby. I sent an email out a few weeks ago with a video, just in case anybody wanted to look at it to see how it works. However, the defibrillator that we purchased, you turn it on and it tells you how to use it. So it's very user-friendly for anybody, which is important. You can save your life with that. And the staff was fully trained on it a couple of weeks ago. Trash guillotine door in the trash room was replaced. We bought a new grill for the pool area. We bought a new ice machine that was just recently installed this week in the kitchen area. We had about $20,000 worth of plumbing repairs in the building. Yep. We bought all new chairs in the pool, not the recliners, but all these chairs were fully replaced, plus the high tops and the chairs in the back that were falling apart. This is a different material, so the sun won't break them like the other one. They were like, what's that called? Wicker chairs. These are not, so they will last longer. Last week we installed a 209 sign, and the curved wall is the same sign as the Seasons on the wall, and it has the backlighting to match. It looks actually a lot nicer than I thought. And then the latest improvement was the downstairs, the garage area. All the tile wall, the tile floors, the vestibule. It looks a lot nicer than I pictured it.
Yeah.
It is really, it made a huge impact.
Well,
I mean,
you
it looks
remember tear down
very
that
nice.
wall, Mark?
It looks really nice.
So, yeah, so
Ah,
we
yeah.
still have, I'm a little neglecting my duties, but we're gonna get a wall rail so we can get part of the carts on the south side and part in the north, so you don't have to do the dance through the elevator. You can steal a cart and run to the other
We'll
side.
probably get a couple
We
of
have to
extra
buy a
carts.
few, like
We're-
4 more
Yeah,
cards,
yeah,
because
plus the rail so that the tile doesn't get disturbed.
And the vestibule will be painted tomorrow. It was supposed to be painted today. Contractor had some car problems, and they'll be here tomorrow to finally paint the vestibule, and it will be done. But it looks really nice. I mean, today when I drove in, you immediately it's like it's a big
lot.
difference of what
It's
it
a
looks
lot.
like. Yeah.
it's a lot.
So those are a lot of the improvements. Obviously, more improvements to come. But I wanted to give. I haven't given an update of the improvements of the building in a while. So those were it. We're going to talk about what's improvements are to come in a minute, but before we got into that, I wanted to adjourn this meeting since this meeting was just for the approval. So if I can get a motion to adjourn,
Yes.
Nick, second,
Second.
Livia, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, so now we can discuss some of the, and I'll pass this down to, well, you want me to get it started, Nick, or I have a list of the things that we can do.
Yeah.
So obviously the most obvious thing that everybody's been asking me about is the hallways. When and what's going to be done in the hallways? Because obviously the hallways, as more work gets done, they are looking worse and worse. You know, the hallways, the floors, the walls, everything. So there are a few things that we have been discussing for a couple of years now that's going to be done in the hallways. We are going to move away from a carpet and go with flooring. The carpet, no matter what you do to it, it's getting beat up, and then you cannot ever really get the stains out of it again. So we're gonna go with tile floors and tile baseboards. We are going to install new doors in every unit to get rid of those old doors. We are going to install, what do you call that, uniform door handles in all the doors. All the doors are gonna have the same keypad entry door handles, but they're all gonna match. It's not gonna be different colors and different shapes. There's gonna be like a panel on the side of the door. We're gonna change the plaques. What else are we doing? We're gonna paint, obviously.
We're gonna paint, we're gonna, each elevator vestibule on each floor, when you get out of the east facing elevators, we're gonna do some nice treatment on that wall. We sort of band-aided it about 6 years ago. Now we're gonna do something very nice on each floor. Basically lighting, ceiling painting. We're not gonna overdo, but we're definitely gonna do what the building should have done, given the caliber of the building, what we've been doing.
Is there still gonna be a mirror by the?
Yeah.
Oh, good, because
Yeah.
I don't have. a
Everybody
full
loves a
one in
last
my
look
house.
mirror. We're not-
I don't have one in the house.
Everybody
That's
loves-
why I brought it out.
Everyone loves the last look.
That
mirror.
was the best IKEA buy we
Correct.
ever.
$89 a piece.
Because I don't have one
If you ever
in
think
my house.
if you ever think we overspend this building,
What kind
it
of
was
tile?
$89 a piece. So, yeah. So-
What kind of tile is it?
In
Yeah.
Yes, we will, yeah, yeah.
In Mario's office, there's one that is similar to what we're looking at in Mario's office
Yeah, it's
right
still
now.
the same.
If
We're
you
gonna
want,
put-
after the meeting, I'll show it.
Yeah, we're gonna put together a mock-up of like the tile and the wall color and stuff, but we're going to keep everything very close to what it's at now in terms of no major changes, like the floor, this is the carpet that's in the hallways, so we're staying very close to that. The thought was
The
that,
color.
right, so color is gonna stay basically the same, the walls may get a little bit lighter, it'll be better lit, because we'll have ceiling LED recessed lighting now. And just because of having a tile floor now, we're not gonna have wood baseboards anymore, because as we get to a level where we want to with tile flooring. We don't want people, just cleaners, maintenance people, additional maintenance, new maintenance people, additional whatever, slopping around mops and sort of wood baseboards, stopping up that water, popping, expressing off the wall. So that's why we're gonna do just a short tile baseboard in the hallway. And we're also gonna do, because now we close so many doors, at owner's request, we're gonna be adding some art and also some millwork, some wall millwork. So similar to sort of what we have here and here, not like that, but the idea being applied wood millwork and art. And because there are some stances, in my floor, I live in a D stack, and from my door to the end of the west of A, there's probably 58 to 60 feet of just sheetrock now, right? Just painted sheetrock. So
same thing across between C
right,
and
between
J.
C and J, right? So we have to, and that's the east to west run of this building gets the worst of it because it's the longest and had the most prior doors. So we're going to do a combination of art, which is pricey, but we're also going to intersperse it with millwork like this that'll give us a nice, beautiful look and finish the walls without really the cost of art, per se. So we're going to do a combination of all of that on each floor. Right, and we also are going to finish laundry rooms. We're going to run tile from the floor and the hallways into the laundry room, and it's all going to be basically the same sort of a color tonality as this rug, because people, oh, it's dark, it's dark. If we do lighter floors and we do lighter grout, between cleaning and stains and things like that, grout's going to look terrible in a year or two. So if we do a medium tone, sort of a blue-gray like is in there now, with the same color grout, cleaning and things over time is not gonna, it won't take its toll. It should look basically the same.
And we will have that.
Yep, and we are also gonna, instead of that, sort of prison CMU sort of block that we have in the walls in the laundry room, we're gonna put knockdown texture on that, repaint those. We're not gonna do anything in the ceilings right now because there's so much plumbing and issues in drainage and sprinkler connections for the ELSS.
Just clean it up.
We're gonna clean it up and wait for now until we know we're finished. Maybe in a year or two, we'll figure out something to do to close off the ceilings in those laundry rooms, but there's a lot in there, drains and access and things like that. Yeah. Well, no. On the elevator vestibules on each floor, like I mentioned, we're gonna do something nice. We're gonna keep, the elevator cabs, we're gonna do post-inspection and post that. We put a little bit of money originally into there, but it was running probably about almost 30,000+ per cab to do those through a professional organization that does that. So we're going to do that just as legitimately and just as approved into code as we would, but we're going to do it on our own and probably for, I would guess, probably a quarter to a third of that.
Every building that gets it done professionally is paying 30,000 and up. That's what they charge.
The elevator cab, the
You see the
interior,
size
the
of that?
passenger
What, you know what you can do in your apartment with $30,000, right? They are charging 30,000 for a closet, basically. Because is that not what an elevator is? It's a closet. $30,000. So Nick is gonna do it in-house.
The thing is that the elevator industry,
Crazy.
you have to be a general contractor for elevators. In order to do that, they just raise up
And they
the
just
price.
put this crazy
That's all,
price
because like
for
they say, it's a
closet.
small room, but they charge a lot of money. We spoke to our elevator company and they told us as long as we stay within a certain limit of weight, of the current weight that we have right now, we don't have to go to them because they don't have to weigh the elevators. And because we installed tile there in the past, by removing that tile, it gives us enough room to play around with the weight. So we're gonna be able to do it in-house for about a
The
third.
floor of the existing elevator is tile over tile, because we sort of did that as a Band-Aid after Hurricane, what was it, my first one? We got insurance money.
After Hurricane.
After
Yeah.
Irma, we got insurance money plus we assessed and we spent, and we were really tight. And we just sort of, for a quick Band-Aid, tile over tile. So what we're gonna do now, we're gonna get it all out. We'll get that additional weight on the floor out. And then once we go with just one level of tile in there and the interior of the cab comes out, we're gonna go back with, we'll weigh the same or less. So there's not gonna be any issue or stress on the integrity of the new mechanism of all the thousands that got spent for the elevator, so there's no worry there.
Yeah. Light fixture painting, we went through that, laundry rooms, camera.
We have like, we have to revise the lighting in this building. Our electric bills are going through the roof. And we are going to revise the electricity. All these lights are outdated and using a fortune in lighting. It's gonna behoove us to remove it all and put in proper LED lighting.
Right.
Like in the hallways, maybe like for the nighttime, is there anything that maybe as a
Turn it on
motion
and turn
light
it off?
would be a little brighter, like you don't have to keep it.
No, I
as
think if
light?
you just change it to LED, it's a big difference when you change lighting.
Another thing with regards to that we're gonna probably do is, number one, we're probably gonna start changing some of the, like for example, the management office, certain, like the gym, certain areas are gonna have like a timer in the air conditioning, what do you call that? Thermostat. Because like my office doesn't have to be cold throughout at night and on the weekends,
No.
it should be off. The gym at night doesn't have to be extremely
To
cold,
your
same
point,
thing with
it
the
can be
dog.
motion,
Yeah.
it can be
Yeah.
motion.
So we're gonna do that with the
So that-
ACs,
right.
and then we're gonna, certain areas, for example, like the sauna area, the lights don't have to be on 24/7. We could have a motion detector. You walk by the lights turn on, right? Just kind of like we have the bathrooms in the pool. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna see if we can do it in this room as well, because this room is fairly
And
empty.
that big thing there.
And it's so bright during the day
Yeah,
that,
that big thing there burns electricity like you wouldn't believe. That
What?
big square light there drives me
To
crazy.
flood
oh,
it,
that,
so
well,
yes.
yeah, so we're gonna look
That
into
one,
some
things
of that.
like that, we're gonna look into, get rid of them and start cutting down.
The last couple of
our
years,
bills.
like FPL has gone up through the roof, impossible to even budget for it, right? That has been one of the things. We actually, the reason why we started kind of putting all these numbers together was because we received information through our accountant while we were doing the CPA that we are running on a deficit due to insurance increases in the last couple of years, due to mostly insurance increases. That was like about 70% of the deficit. But then electricity played a big part, labor costs, material costs, everything the last couple of years is like unpredictably high, right? Like the cost has just gone up. So we have to work on that deficit and also the reserves, as you guys, as we mentioned a bunch of times, starting next year, the reserves will have to be fully funded for structural items, which are more than half of the items that we have in reserve. Probably like 3/4 of the items are structural, and they're gonna have to be fully funded. We've been funding them like a 20% average through the last few years. So we are waiting on the study to find out exactly how much that's going to be, but that's gonna have to be funded. Unless something happens. I know where Mark was gonna find out. Mark, you didn't get an answer by any chance, did you? Okay.
Right, and that's just so everyone understands that that's not specific to us or our building, that's the state.
That's
We have
the
no control of that at all, right?
Yeah.
We're
They
just
have to do
react-
the
The law is everybody has to
Because, right, it's
fully
all
fund.
Yeah.
essentially coming from
Exactly.
services,
Yeah.
right, right.
So I think that's, I mean,
Well, we have
17th floor
cameras for
ceiling
the
tiles.
elevators also, we have to put in cameras in the elevators.
Yeah.
Because we have a lot of incidents that we need cameras in the
I thought they
elevators.
were in there.
No, those cameras are,
No, we talked about it already.
Yeah,
yeah.
They weren't working because
Okay,
they were, we
those
kind of bought them,
are-
we bought them on
Those
Amazon.
are cheap cameras that you just install.
they're
and
just a
then
lot of
You're
work.
not allowed
Right.
to look, like I can't go and take that camera and go and look if you had an incident with somebody, that came
No,
and followed.
The problem was that they are Wi-Fi, they work with Wi-Fi.
And
So the
there's
second the elevator got to the second floor,
Nothing.
the Wi-Fi was gone and that was it. So when I would look at the camera, I would see somebody get in and would close. By the time it started moving,
Those
it
are
will
like
be done,
$30 cameras.
and then you will see it once the elevator was, like you will see basically the doors open and the people walk out. So
Yeah.
they were kind of pointless. So we actually, now that we did the whole modernization, we ran the wire inside. So now we can connect the wires onto the cameras and have
So
it. Especially now that
we're
we're
gonna
gonna,
actually have cameras.
now we're gonna keep it nice. We wanna make sure that, everybody's gonna treat the elevator nicely.
The other thing we did was we brought in FPL just to look at the building. I don't know if there was any monumental came out of that, but we at least wanted to make sure that the power provider for the area came in and gave us recommendations of what we could or couldn't do to save money. And basically what we were doing is basically right what
Yeah.
they said. But
Yeah, what we mentioned earlier was pretty much a discussion.
right,
him and I had.
exactly. So it's not like us in a vacuum. We at least reached out to our power provider to say what is here and what can we do that's better to save and So where we will be in the future in terms of savings, there's really nothing more. We're gonna be doing everything that's possible, so.
Well, actually, what was crazy was that the numbers, we had saved a ton in electricity compared to the previous year. Because, we changed, frequency drivers, VFDs, various frequency drivers that we installed in the cooling tower, all the electrical panels that we changed. We had saved a ton, significant, like 22% compared to last year, but the price was still more because of the cost of
And I
it.
don't know if you'll notice, but we even unscrewed every other light bulb.
On the-
You don't
In
even
the lobby,
know that.
lobby,
All the
lobby,
way down the
right.
lobby and all
Right.
around. We unscrewed every other light bulb. We've
Right.
done that for 2 years now and it's not. Another thing, Nick, is the front desk is chipped and ratty and it's the old front desk. All we did was put some laminate on it.
Right.
We're gonna give it a face. We're gonna
Yeah.
do something, make them look.
Right, and the doors for the storage doors,
They're
the
falling
security, it's an effort every time you have to unlock them, pull them up. They're just doors that have had too much time, they weigh too much for the hinge system, so we're just gonna replace those.
Those are the old
It's-
doors that were
right.
always there, they're way too heavy
Right.
and they break all the
Right.
time. Every time they get to a package for someone.
So these are pretty much all the upcoming,
We also need
Projects.
to clean up the landscaping.
oh yeah, well, the landscaping,
I just wanna do something better by pool. I've been fiddling with, I know the orchids are nice because
I know,
every
right,
time,
yeah, right.
and I'm asking anybody
Every
who's
time I
listening,
remember, like,
whenever
oh,
you
here's
have
one,
an
let's put it on
orchid,
the
bring
tree.
one down
Right.
and I'll stick it on the tree.
Right.
well, it's
It's
more
not-
than just that.
It's not just the orchids though, we need to maintain the trees, right now, the wind kills those. We just need to give the landscaping a facelift, because it looks like,
And maybe do something with this corner right
Yes.
here, that looks a
Do you
little
see behind the
pretty.
grill there, those,
do
you
you
know,
know everything?
yeah, that's,
Yeah, the heat from the grill.
Right.
I don't know.
well, yeah, no, we'll order them, yeah, but I'm saying, those, like, you see the plants behind there, we gave it a shot to see if they would take, but the heat is just too
The heat
much.
from the barbecue,
No,
every
so-
time Mark
No, no,
cooks
there
his
was
dinner,
right.
which is every day of the week, Mark has been killing all the plants behind. Have you noticed how
Your
much?
Tyrannosaurus Rex steak is killing the plants, Mark, right?
It's Mark's fault.
And then also the two in the front, we've tried so
Yeah,
many different
right,
things,
right,
but
right.
because it doesn't
As
get
you
enough
walk out the
sunlight,
door.
they just die. No matter what we put in the front there, and we talk to people that like, these will survive there, and they don't.
Right.
They don't because they don't get any sunlight.
And
So
there's
they
another
just die.
project that we have to do, we have to go to the back parking lot and measure all the spaces and reline that parking lot.
That we can do in-house.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it should be, yeah.
Well, that should be-
Yeah.
I believe we can get,
We were ready
or
to start
maybe
doing
more
it.
extra
And something
spaces.
came up, but we haven't
Yeah,
do-
we
we
can
haven't
get
picked that
more
up.
extra spaces if we do that. I can do it with them if you want.
Not, I mean,
Not yet, we have to.
we still have to kind of time them all up, but we do have a preliminary number.
We have a preliminary number of what everything is gonna cost with this new insurance increase and all of this, Mario, you know.
We are,
It's not being,
Right,
yeah,
right,
this
this is
is
right.
not,
It's
this
not
is,
approved.
this
This is
is
just-
what we assume.
This is a long posted list of what we expect to have to fund.
so this is how this came out. We got the letter from the CPA telling us about the deficit that obviously we need to replace,
Meaning,
right?
we don't have.
State required, right?
Yeah,
State required funding, right?
meaning, yeah, we're working on a, I mean, it's a large number, but it's dual for the association, but that is not the only problem. Because we have the deficit, then we have the reserves that we have to finance. So we were dealing with those two numbers. And then we started talking about, well, if we have to replace those two, let's talk about the hallways. Because we cannot, even if we didn't want to spend any money, we can't leave the hallways the way they are. Because those hallways are, I mean, after all the money that we put in the building, the hallways to be left like that would be absurd.
So, right,
So,
the ceiling project started non-aesthetically, that's because of the LSS and the requirements for sprinkler systems, right? So we had to do that, and we had to frame them, and we had to change them. So now we're sort of stuck in between, and we can't just, to Mary's point, we can't just leave them.
what was that, Mark?
No, sorry. My tow truck is.
Oh, okay.
So here we are we're running at a deficit, and this is what we project the number will be that we need to get.
The number is 980,000 is where we are, which is a little more than half of what the last special assessment we had. That is without, that is, we are going very heavy on the reserves. We're thinking reserves might be 150,000, but they might be half of that, they might be a lot less than that. The deficit that we're working with is 160. So that those two numbers alone account for 300,000.
Now, do we have to get that before the end, like, we can't wait till
Within
the end
the
of the
next-
year?
within-
Yeah. It will be spread
It
out.
will be
It
spread out over 12 months, I assume.
It will
Yeah,
be
but I'm
spread out.
saying, starting in January, or we
Starting-
can't wait that long?
No, it will have to start this year.
It will
Yeah.
have to
Yeah, it'll start in
That's
24,
what I
right,
mean.
right.
It's
Yeah,
gonna
it
have
has
to
to.
start
Yeah.
We
very
can't
soon.
wait till next
No, we
year.
can't.
No.
No, we can't even wait till next half of the year. We have to start soon.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, condos in Florida have been abused, because there's no other word. It really, my team, with Castle Group, we have 18 buildings on the beach, and every time we meet is the same discussion. We're like, oh my God, now we gotta come up with reserves, now we gotta come up with this, the insurance has gone up 104% in my building, how about yours? Like, those are the discussions that we have, because, and then, we gotta install a sprinkler, how much are you paying? Oh, it's gonna cost us $1 million, it's gonna cost us $1.2 million. Like, everything is just like this absurd number, and it's like, it seems that everything hit one after another one within a 2-year period. Within a 2-year, everybody had to fund their reserves, everybody had to install sprinklers, the insurance was doubling, tripling within a couple of years, and it has been like, you're trying to be hopeful and say, okay, listen, we're gonna do a special assessment for this amount, and then we should be okay, and then they just don't stop,
I think when you inform the owners, you have to say, it's not up to you, this is out of your control, the
But
reserve.
it's not just here. Think about it. I have properties, and my tenants, I feel terrible. I'm below market rate, but I have to raise their rent constantly because my taxes have gone up, my insurance has gone up. They've come with about 10 different things I have to register and pay money for, and it's every day. And the water. I mean, it's crazy what bills have gone to. What's water like here?
Water is pretty, electricity is the highest utility, for sure. Water is decent, we've been able to kind of maintain within the budget.
I think you have to stress that it is a state thing, it's not due to any
Absolutely.
mismanagement or
Yeah.
No, absolutely,
wastefulness.
trust me, the last thing that anybody wants.
Every bill, I work in a bunch of condo buildings for residents and for also the management team doing significant improvements for condo buildings like ours. And every like Mario said, his meetings with Castle, everyone I walk into, whether it's a resident meeting for renovation of their unit or a team meeting for the board and a large scale renovation of an entire building, it's, condos are the whipping post, insurance is killing us. Literally it's not our building. It's just Florida and the industry and post Surfside, what life feels like. So there's like litigious people out there, there's insurance, money grabbers, everybody wants to be protected, nobody wants to be able to have a finger pointed at them in terms of liability, so it is what it is.
I mean, we want to feel hopeful.
Right.
By financing our reserves, that is something that we don't have to worry about anymore.
Right.
And the insurance industry has taken a turn. We were supposed to have an increase of like 30 to 35% this year. Now we're looking at like a 17% increase on our insurance. And going forward, it should be better. There are more companies coming to Florida because they have leveled out. With the increases that we had the last couple of years, the insurance companies are not at a loss. Therefore, they're starting to regulate. And because of that, more insurance companies are coming to Florida, which is opening up the competition, which makes insurance companies obviously decrease their rates. So being hopeful, hopefully next year is not the same story that it is this year with regards to everything. Our building, I don't know how much more in compliance we could possibly get, right? We have sprinklers, we have elevators, we have reserves, we will have reserves. I don't know how much more in compliance, I mean, everything else is pretty much new in the building, so. I know we've said this before, and we've come up with something new, but,
And that's the problem, every time you think you've hit it, what about that thing they made us put in the garage for the fire people, how much did that cost?
which one?
They made us install something because something wasn't communicating with something.
That's a transfer.
I mean,
fee,
how much
right?
was
28,000.
28,000, I mean, every time they come with a new code, they come with a new thing, and the new thing costs a fortune, and then it doesn't talk to the old thing, and it's a problem, it's not nice.
Yeah, I was gonna say something.
But comparatively, I mean, you know, I hear and see a lot from other boards and other people in other buildings. I have one building, a friend in a building who also doing work there that's just right around Oakland Park and A1A. Their insurance is going up 42%. I mean, that's,
Again,
right,
at
and
this
then,
point, it's
right,
crazy.
and then ours is, I think ours was that, our increase was around, what did we get?
This year's gonna be 18%.
18, like
And
literally
we
half,
were
literally half of
lower
what.
than everybody else before that, but the reason was because of that amazing job they did on the 40-year.
Yeah.
Right,
When we
correct.
had an engineer on site
Literally on
full-time,
payroll full-time,
and
right.
because that engineer was here, everything was certified, and our insurance didn't go up. It was the best money ever spent, really was.
So you have
really.
other buildings similar sizes,
Other
smaller,
buildings
that did not go through that or did a very minimal, you know, sort of a stroking of their 40-year, and now their insurance increases are monumental, as well as the secondary money they have to put out for things that we've just been talking through all this time. So it's, you know, it's a beast what we've done, you know, with Castle and the board, we've done the best that's possible.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we get compliments in this building. A building from the 70s to look like this, people can't believe that this building is from the 70s. They truly can't. They're like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. We hear it all the time, you know?
I moved, as an example, I moved in here 8 or 9 years ago, and I used to come to the beach across here when I lived in Poinsettia Heights, and there's a single family house. I used to come to the beach and look at the building and be like, wow, the architecture is really good, but it looks like a state subsidized kind of, right, you know, like way back in the
A
day.
tenement
No
building.
judging, I'm just saying, like, I didn't know it here, I didn't know. So I figured, well, that's gotta be a great place to buy in because it can only get better, right? And so sure enough, you know, fast forward 8 years later, you know, people walk in the building and ask Mary or Liz or the front desk, you know, is there anything for sale? You know, we finally had sales over $1 million in the building. You know, we had 17G sold at, I don't know, what, $700 and something per square foot. You know, so it always looks like a sinking ship with money flowing, just falling into the ocean, but it's really not. You know,
But the truth is the value that you're
Right,
getting
right.
is just increasing, and it's not increasing, a lot of the other buildings aren't increasing like we are. It's
Right.
increasing because we keep maintaining,
Right.
keep adding.
Right.
Think about it, when you walk in this building and you get into a new elevator cab and it opens onto a floor that looks like any brand new building anywhere in Florida, to a door that is beautiful like any brand new apartment building, you know what that's gonna make your apartment be worth inside? It's gonna be, finally, we're gonna see the value that everybody else gets in the buildings that are fixed.
I think, you know, we're a little bit of a niche because this is a smaller sort of a boutique kind of a condo building. We're surrounded, you know, by condo hotels, obviously, right, which is a different animal, right? High monthly maintenance, lower purchase prices, so they're not the same thing. Going up, we have, you know, there's Paramount, there's all these buildings, Seasons, there's Celine that are in the 2 and 3 million, clearly the other end of the spectrum. So the only really comparable building for us is Spring Tide.
That's
You
the
know,
co-op.
Right, and no, not judgy, but I mean, you look at that building, and I almost bought that building before here, it's a co-op. You look at it, every set of windows in that is
It's
different.
different.
The management changes about every 2 years, you know what I
Every
mean?
balcony is different.
Every balcony, yeah, you
Some
know.
are enclosed, some are
Correct, some are
open,
enclosed, some are not, the windows are all
screens.
different, you know, so as far as, you know, my mother always used to say there's a pebble on the beach for everybody, right? So in this strip of where we live, from let's say Sunrise to Las Olas, if you don't want a condo hotel on the cheap with high maintenance that varies because of rentals and who's renting in the building and what the entity can do for you to help you, and if you're not a $2 or $3 or $4 million buyer for Celine or Paramount or Seasons, there's there's nothing on the beach here, right? And there's always gonna be somebody who are like just regular folks and kind of schmucky folks like us, right? We're happy where we live and we live at the cost we do. And our building in Spring Tide is really the only building that are in that niche, right? And there's always gonna be people that wanna buy onto this location because it's great. So it's never gonna be money badly spent, it's just money spent, unfortunately, but it is, you know.
The value transfers to the value of your property for sure.
Yeah.
Money spent.
And we don't have a choice.
Yeah.
You know, we have to keep up, we have to look good, we have to pay the bills that have to be paid, it's just what it is. But we try, I mean, us, Mario, we hunt online for something that costs,
Right?
Mario
It's
and
ridiculous.
I found something for $50, then when we got it, we found it for $20. So we run and take back one and get, I'm not joking.
Right.
Pennies are pinched in that office every day, like you would not believe.
Contractors don't like, I mean, there's not a single bill that doesn't come from
No,
this. It's not
we have-
bullshit.
Niggling and
we have-
piggling.
We had elevator contractors here, right, as an example, to come and give us, you know, prices per cab for the redo and stuff like that. And of course, you know, they're like, well, most people are 30, 35, 38, 32, 30, you know, we're like, what can we get done for like 15 or 20?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We haven't heard back from any of them yet. They just don't get back to us, you know, so it's just, it is, we're not doing this or anything, but factually, I'm just saying, like, people on this board really do try every day, Mario every day, from, you know,
Every day.
really do try, and it's not a like, oh, we're great, it's just factual that we're all just owners, and we just happen to be in the same boat, and we're trying to spend the money as.
And if any one of us, if Nick is out and he sees a tile at a site that he has, he'll, oh, I have that there, I'll bring it. I walked out, I saw the chairs by the pool for, what was it? It was $49
$40,
in BG.
$50 a chair.
I made a friend come in a truck with me and get the chairs. We all do this. We fight for every dollar to be kept down.
And what about Steve, who is going to import the IT?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, Steve comes on, we don't call
It is
IT. Yeah, we
non-stop.
try.
Everybody helps, everybody does.
Even doing trashes,
Yes.
sometimes we even is, you know, it's a
Right,
weekend.
right.
So we are here as owners to help each other to the best way of our
Right.
ability.
So I'm
Would you say
sorry
within
it's
a couple
happening
of
to
months
us,
We'll
but
get the notice about assessments. or-
I wanna
we need to get the
I want to
figures
trim this
better.
down. I'm hoping, the inspector told me he was gonna be out of town until Tuesday, until tomorrow. Not the inspector, the reserve study guy. So hopefully by the end of the week, I have his numbers, and then we'll tighten up the rest of the numbers, and then I'm gonna send out an email explaining exactly what it is, what happened, how we got there, you know, what's required by the state, what each penny's gonna go to, the breakdown of everybody's unit, you know, the breakdown per month.
Okay, and another question is this is something I asked Mario. So, okay, so today we hear that we need to spend $50. By the time we spend it in November, that $50 is gonna be $75, and then we're gonna run into a little bit of a deficit. Just say the figures come up to 900,000 or $1 million or whatever. My suggestion is we put in a nice big pad, which works out to like $50 a month for each person in an apartment my size,
Just
the
for
bigger
contingency,
apartments.
correct, right.
So that works down
Right.
to the smaller apartments, so much less, just for contingency, because I don't wanna come back to you
It's happened
and
to us
say,
in the last two.
and it
assessments.
keeps happening, and I don't wanna
Right.
come back and say, hey, guys,
Right.
sorry, but people doubled their prices. So I think that we should add an additional buffer to just help us, because if we're gonna be paying this over 12 months, it doesn't make sense. It's me
Right.
saying,
How much it gonna be, Adrian?
It will depend
on
on what our final numbers are, but, right now, we're probably looking somewhere in between 4 and 11,000 per unit.
for which size?
Well,
Just in
4
general, the
from
range,
J
from the
to
smallest to the
11
largest,
J.
so from 4 to
So
1.
from 400 to
4,000 to 11,000,
1,000.
the total.
And
then
also,
we'll
like,
break that down.
as an example, I know this is never really a friendly conversation, but a building I'm doing in Palmetto Sea Haven is an over 55 building, and it's been mismanaged for a long time. There's been big issues there, you know, prosecution in jail for the management of the building, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, they're getting an assessment for over $70,000 per unit.
And this is. an
No time paid, nothing. You have 6 months to pay it, that's it. That's clearly really a harsh example, right?
But we've been
So-
hearing of buildings in Miami where
Correct, right.
everybody has $100 and something thousand to pay, and they need to
Doing,
pay within 2 or 3
Two big
months.
assessments in Hermitage for the roof
Yeah.
or something.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
I saw somebody.
Actually, most
But
of
but those are
buildings-
built, like Hermitage is a building where you just assume there's an absorption rate, the owners can take that, A building like I'm talking about here, like those are like sort of legacy owners that went from like the great grandparent to the grandparents, like 3 generations later, you have somebody 40 years old with kids there and they're like, oh, I got a free condo for my parents, I have to divvy up 75 grand, so it's just
Or you get retired people who've
Correct,
been there
exactly,
Where are
right,
they
or
gonna
somebody,
find
exactly,
that?
somebody's
Where
been
are
there
they
from like, it's 78 or 80, and then
Yeah.
where are they gonna get this money from? A fixed income, they bought there because it was an over 55,
Right.
because it was affordable. So it's Tamara's point, Florida's a tough state right now for condos, but it'll all get through it, the industry will settle
I
out.
think we're getting towards the end of.
Yeah,
I think we're getting
I
through
think
better
we're on like
than
the last third, I agree. Yeah.
Because of that insurance claim we did with Wilma,
Yeah.
we have gotten through better than
Mhm.
most,
Yeah.
because.
Most people have seen $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 assessments over and over.
We're getting through better.
All right, well, that's all. I will send an email once we kind up these numbers. It will be as detailed as this conversation was. The email will be, large and as clear as possible and easy to understand as possible with numbers and explanations and everything like that, so that everybody agrees. And then we'll have another meeting and we'll discuss it a little further. And
You'll have the option of paying full or pay over
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. Okay, so that's it, guys.
All right, and Maria, would you like to see the time?
Yes, please.
Yeah, sure.
You take her.
And hopefully I return, you know what, I think I might have it. There were 2 pieces.
So-
And the Florida company that never came back to us, took one, never returned it. I did the other one upstairs, so that shows.
I didn't sign anything.
Let me run up and get that, I'll bring it to you. To your office.
Good, Fred, how about you?
Okay, sorry. My mom just didn't realize we had a meeting,
Okay.
not very many.
Todos van a ser iguales.
Exacto.
Así le digo.
What are you, 15, Fred?
He is in-
Por ejemplo, que quiere poner
it
los
wasn't.